Hey guys, it's Peter Cunha, broker owner of Open Doors Realty, your New Jersey real estate giant, with my man David Baum, Cross Country Mortgage. How are you, bud?
What's going on, Pete? How are you? How is everybody doing today?
Happy
Beautiful
New Year's.
Tuesday. Happy New
Just,
Year.
hey, listen, I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to pick your brain about something that's coming up a lot on my end.
Yeah.
We're 2 weeks, second week of the new year. I'm getting a lot of people that, hey, their New Year's resolutions were to be a homeowner in 2023. So you're usually my first go-to. What I typically tell them is call me, let me put you in touch with a lender that can service you. One of the things that I always tell them is what's your time frame and what's your credit score. That's where you come in.
Yeah.
So
Well, and then I would further up on that say, where did you get that credit score from? Because if it was Credit Karma, it's definitely not right. So, however, right, good place to maybe check your credit score. Obviously there's free credit report.com or annual credit report. You're allowed one annual credit report a year where it's not going to ding you, not going to be as specific or detailed. Mortgage lenders use a tri-merge report, which is a detailed report with a different FICO score. There's lots of different scoring models between Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, but we use a tri-merge report. If somebody has a credit card, like a Citi card or an Amex, and they go on their app, they can check their FICO score there. That's probably a better indicator than where Credit Karma would come in at. There's no ding to your credit for that. It just gives you, it's only one of the bureaus, but that's a good indicator at least. Another great question is, yeah, like what kind of time frame do they have? Are they attached to a lease? A lot of times, yeah, I just signed a 12-month lease a month ago. Oh, great. Okay. Well, the end of the year, you're looking, can you get out? Is there an out clause? Talk to your landlord. They may want 90 days notice. If they can find a tenant, maybe they're not penalized, right? Things like that. Those are questions you got to, dive really deep in on and figure that out. What do you have in the bank to work with, right? What do we have to work with for a down payment? Closing costs? Do you have to save money? Are you getting a gift? Like all of that stuff is stuff you need to think about, depending on where you're trying to purchase or what type of loan program is out there. If you're a veteran, obviously you could go as little as no money down. Rural housing, USDA, also no money down. FHA, 3.5% down. So making sure they have a strategy or a plan to be able to put a down payment down. Have money for closing costs, or do we have to build a plan? Does someone have to build their credit up? Do they, a lot of times people come to me sometimes almost too late. They've already stepped into a house, fell in love with something, and then I got to give the bad news that you can't afford it, or they don't qualify for it. So you really want to get your ducks in your row first, determine what your maximum buying power is, determine what your budget is, right? Because there's a big difference between the two of determining, because a lot of times like, well, what can I afford? What's my max? What's my max? Well, what are you comfortable with a month, Peter? Like things like that. Those are questions you really have to kind of dive deep in on so they understand what they're getting into. Because the more understanding a client is, especially up front with a really solid buyer consultation, they're going to be a better buyer from the start to the finish, and they're going to get to closing. The ones that I feel like don't understand it, can't grasp it, or if they don't do it the right way from the beginning, they do tend to take maybe a little longer, to get to the closing table if they get there at all.
yeah, and I just wanted to just kind of rehash. It's like when we get these phone calls, especially me, it's like if they have time on their hands, like typically it's a project I want to buy by this summer or
Right.
something along those lines, right? It's I'm trying to uncomplicate the whole process for them because I don't want, especially first time home buyers, I don't want them to be intimidated by the whole process.
Yeah.
It's usually, hey, listen, let somebody take your credit score, even though you're not looking, even if you're looking in 2024. Hey, Dave, what does this person need to do to improve their purchasing power? Right? You
Mm-hmm.
can afford you might be able to afford a bigger house just because you have a better credit score. It does take time. We were talking about this off camera. There's the
Yeah.
rapid rescore kind of program, which is you can do certain things to
Yeah.
increase that, that credit score, but over the long term, there's better ways to do it where you're not financially strapped all at once.
Yeah, I mean, there's ways that we can improve credit, or help at least if it's something, it may not be repairable though, too, for some people, right? So, everyone is different. There are ways just by looking at stuff, whether it's possibly paying something down or, taking, and authorize your user that they're on someone's account that's maxed out, that they don't even use that account by just taking them off. Yes, we're not factoring it in, but that still will negatively impact their score. So things like that, just little things, just, going through it and advising the clients. Obviously, to improve purchase power, credit score is not everything. Obviously their job, is there a salary increase down the road potentially? Because that's it, usually the biggest way.
Yeah.
Hold off on any big purchases, keep the credit card bills down, to maximize your credit score. When a lender is running your credit, you really want to try to position your balances on your accounts, right? You can't control a car, you can't control student loans typically, but if you got a credit card with a $5,000 limit, don't let that balance go above $2,000. If it goes over 2,500, now you're over that 50% mark. That starts bringing scores down. So you can maybe, if you've got time, maybe you can try and prepare a little bit before going in, obviously, and your credit may be, at a proper score up front, that you may not need to do some things to get it up. But those are just some little, tricks of the trade, I guess. If someone can maybe get that stuff in line, they could be in a better position up front potentially for a better score.
Right. So, kind of in summary, if we got this right, it doesn't have to be intimidating. What we're trying to do is evaluate where you're at so you have the most opportunity to buy the best value for a home that you can and get you out of, renting so you have a tangible asset that, will increase in value over time historically. So,
Yeah, just they want to be, make sure they get educated and to ease the whole process. It is not as difficult as it may sound or seem, right? It's not rocket science, but if you have a good team around you and you have someone that's giving you the proper advice, it's really, there's hand holding involved. It doesn't have to be that either, but typically, if you understand it up front, and just the basics, yeah, it really is a simple, smooth process. Granted, yes, there could be inspection, there could be appraisal stuff, things like that, some things that may be uncontrollable.
right.
But what you can control up front is getting that pre-approval or even a credit approval, up front, and being ready, willing, and able to make an offer when you do find the right property.
Right, and that's all I'm trying to say is that we're trying to make this as uncomplicated as possible, streamline the process. We have notes. I'll post some notes down below where people can just kind of look at the process. Typically, the first people that they need to talk to is you or I. We kind of work very well tandemly, and that's the whole team approach. So, Dave, how do they get in touch with you?
They can always reach me. Best number 732-853-4969 or david.baum at ccm.com. Yeah, I'd be happy to help set up buyer consultations or even a refinance consultation if someone is an existing homeowner and may need some money to do some things or pay off some debt, free up some cash flow. I'd be happy to help.
And listen, I'm looking forward to an awesome 2023, helping a lot
Yeah.
of people out, and just appreciate you doing this with me. It's we really are trying to help people. So, if you have any questions or comments, just comment below. Please make sure you subscribe. Thanks again, David. Have a great week.
You too, Pete. Take care, everybody.